Hello, look, sorry for all the mess. I'm in my sort of being creative mode. This is my rear axle in place. It's at full droop at the moment. And here's a shock absorber. This is a pair of shock absorbers. I don't know the application. I bought them at a swap meet. Here's the spring perch, and this is a brace that goes between that hole there and that hole there, and it goes on like that. And my idea is that I will use this to attach the link of the shock absorber. These shock absorbers have exactly the right mountings for the same as the early Ford ones. Here is a tab that I've made. So I'll just put these pieces in place and I'll show you what I'm going to do. Okay, I've got everything sort of mocked into position. That's got an angle on that edge, so it kind of sticks forward like a little ear. Just in case of getting it all sitting comfortably. So what I need to do now is put a put a tack weld on that. Then I'll take it off and weld it up solid. It'll come up just a bit. So I need to hold that still and put a tack on it. Just put a little tack on it there, look. Now I'll take the whole thing off and try and put a decent bead down the side. I've just clamped it on there for welding. I'll put a decent bit of weld up between the two pieces now. I can only get to this one side, so it needs to be a good weld. Famous last words. Well, there's the idea anyway. Not the prettiest weld, but it's a decent long bead. And you know, it should stay attached okay, I think. Okay, I'll get that, let that cool off then, and get it painted up and get it fitted. I wanted to do this because there's the other side. I've done the other side down there, look. I want to clean up the back plates and get the back plates fitted. Then I can put all the brake lines back in place. And to fit the backing plates you need those brackets in place. And I thought, well, that's a handy way to attach the shock absorber, because if you look at it, it's a no holes drilled modification. The shocker goes into the standard holes, and that's not a standard part that I've attached that bracket to anyway. That's already been modified, so you know, it's purely bolt on. That brace just helps support that a little bit. Okay, jolly good. I'll get this one cleaned up then and put it in place, and I'll just show you what the finished job looks like. Cheers then, I'll be back in a bit. There's the bracket with a little bit of primer on it. I'll just go and get the black paint rattled up now and get some of that on it. Quick little coat of black there, that'll you know, make it look nice. I can see I've missed a bit there, but hey ho. What I'll do, I'll bolt it all together and I'll give the whole axle a coat of paint, you know, once everything's bolted up, so everything just gets painted all together. Okay, I'll show you what it looks like when it's bolted on. Back in a bit. Hello. Okay, I'm using my camera now rather than my phone, so hopefully this might come out a little bit better. Not sure if the light's very good. Here is the left-hand shock setup. The shock is clean, painted, mounted, new bolts, new nuts. I've got some stiffening plates to put inside. They're hanging up in the roof over there. There's the link with the repaired thread. That was 7/16, but it had stripped. It's now 10mm. There's my little link bracket, because this is all modified, this is all fabricated, so this little bracket strengthens that, but I've got a little link on it to attach the shock absorber to. It looks quite neat actually, I think. Yeah, it don't look too bad, does it? I gave the back plate a quick going over with black paint. I sorted out the bolts that I need, and I've used standard bolts rather than trying to find the specific bolts, and I've trimmed them all off to a reasonable length. I'm struggling to find the hardware really that I need, all the half-inch bolts. I can't quite assemble up the other side yet because I've got to find another one of these. When I found the other one of those, I can assemble the other side. There's nothing wrong with the other side, it just needs assembling up, and I need to sort out the nuts, bolts and hardware. Hopefully those will do the job, and I don't think they'll look too out of place. So thank you very much for joining me in the garage, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers then. Hello. That grease catcher and this grease catcher are the only ones I've been able to find for this side. I haven't got another one. Well, I don't think I've got another one. This one has some damage on the corner. So what I'm going to do is, I've bolted it on there to this axle flange. Ooh. I've got this little piece of metal. I'm not going to worry about the back surface, 3 bolts will be good enough. I'm just going to weld that on there like that. I won't worry about if it overlaps at the back a bit, because what I'll do, I'll offer it up to a flat surface and kind of grind it flat. Okay, so that's going to go on there like that, and hopefully once that's done I can start to assemble up this corner, like the same as I've done the other side with the shock absorber and the back plate. Okay, I'll bring you back when I've moved along a little bit. I know, yeah, it's supposed to melt the welding wire, but I'm just trying to get a little tack in the corner there. Right, how am I going to do this then? I'm going to put a tack there. Oh, no, I ain't. I can't see. I'm going to have too much metal there, aren't I? Bloody glasses are useless. Oh, God. I mean, that would probably actually, well, other than tacking it a bit better than that, but that would probably do it. You see, it's only a kind of something to catch any grease that's flung out the sea, you know. as I said in Coldwell Motors, you know, we're not building a submarine. I'm burning the metal away. Look, this flame's a little bit too hot, really. I don't think I've got a smaller tip than this. There's something very satisfying about gas welding. I don't imagine you can see very much, can you? I ran out of acetylene, and it took me quite a while to find an alternative acetylene supply. This isn't textbook welding by any means. Ow. Really, I ought to unbolt it and rotate it. You're supposed to have a puddle and dip the rod into it. There we go. Lovely. Okay, not the prettiest. I say that absolutely every time, don't I? A little hole there somewhere. Okay. Oops. So that back edge can just be ground to suit. I'm not going to worry about having a flange on the back. You know, 3 bolts will hold this in place. It's only to catch grease that's thrown out like that. And it'll all stick on the inside anyway. Okay, good. I haven't set my gun up very well. Oh well, I'll leave it for now. Okay. It's great just having the gear ready to go though. I hated it when I hadn't got it. Okay, so that's my latest little problem overcome. The fact that I could only find one of these things. I managed to find 2 damaged ones, and I've effectively made one of them usable. I wouldn't like to say repaired it. I've kind of half repaired it. Gasboard spanners. There you go. And I'll just check to see how this fits against a flat surface. I think it might just need a little touch with a grinder there. That's not too bad, is it? I thought I'd just try my hand at gas welding because it's just sheet metal like that. There you go, just cleaned up a little bit. It fits nicely, and that'll be serviceable. So just go clean that up on the inside, and that can be assembled up now. I left that bolt in to make sure that it cleared the bolt. There you go, lovely. Okay. Hello again. Here's the side I did yesterday. There's the shock absorber. There's everything bolted in place. And today's effort involves this side here. I repaired a grease catcher. I have found the 2 strengthening plates that go inside there, and that's got like a coat of red oxide on the other side as I've bolted it in. I've found suitable nuts and bolts for all of these fittings here. It'll be interesting to see what happens when the body goes on, because I do know that the body does kind of come out like this. I'm hoping there'll be enough clearance, and it's all just bolt on. So that's the shock absorbers fitted. At least I did it a bit quicker than I did the front ones. Okay, so the back axle is kind of looking more complete now. The radius arms are back on. All these things link together, you see, because to bolt the radius arms on, you have to have the backing plates. To bolt the backing plates in place, you have to have the grease catchers. So basically, to put the radius arms on and the brake pipes, I had to find the grease catchers and get them in, you know, to a condition where I could fit them. And as a sort of side issue, I've done the shock absorbers as well. Okay, thanks very much for watching then. Thanks for keeping me company in the garage, and I'll catch you on the next one. Special plug. Pressure relief valve. Okay, that's about as good as I can get it at the moment. Hello. Hey babe. I've got, what I wanted to do is get all the machining dust out of it, which I have done. So what I'm going to do now is dry it off, and I'll oil it up so it doesn't go rusty. I'm not going to do it now, but I will put a long brush through the central gallery as far as I can, but I need to find that and dig it out and do it. I've given the water jacket a little bit of a flush. I don't know whether to maybe get a bit of rod or something and poke that down here. Maybe I'll do that while I'm set up. I could feel some in the bottom near the back. Okay, I'm going to call it good at that. I should have come out a little bit earlier because the sun was shining up the, you know, between the houses. This garden won't see any sunlight now for the rest of the day because of the fences. So I'm going to get it dried up. Hope that's just a casting floor and not a crack. Can you see that there? I think if it was a crack, you'd see like rust down here. Hope it ain't a crack. I'll leave it at that then. I'll get it back in the garage and get it dried off. Maybe I'll clean that afterwards. I just wanted to take advantage of this this morning while it's dry. Okay, thanks very much then. I'll bring you back when there's more to show. Old fan belt, just use it like that, look, and it makes it easy to hang up a hose thing. Flash rust in that bore, look, see. So I'm going to wipe those out and oil them up. I'm going to put some oil in the bores. Does flash rust help the rings bed in? You can see it's rusted, look, just as I'm standing here. Crazy. Okay, we're on camera, Mike. I didn't put my microphone on because I knew there was going to be a lot of water spraying about. Okay, that'll do for now. We're going to go and walk the dog now. So I'll leave that in here for a bit with the heater under it, and you know, hopefully that will protect it. The bores will probably get a quick lick with the hone before I put the pistons in anyway. There wasn't any rust as such. It's what they call flash rust. It's, you know, microscopically thin. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks very much for joining me. I'll catch you on the next one. Here's my 32 frame. It's looking a bit sparse at the moment. I've pulled the back axle assembly out and I've done a couple of things. I've given the whole thing a coat of black paint, you know, just sprayed it over with an aerosol, and I've partially dismantled the rear spring and taken a couple of leaves out. There was a couple of leaves that came there. I've taken those out, and I've made a new bolt there, a new central bolt there. It's a flange headed bolt, but I've filed it square so it locates into the frame. I'm at the point now where I want to actually assemble the axle back into the chassis. So I was going to leave the spring like this, but I think I ought to at least apply something to it. So I've bought this 5th wheel grease. Unfortunately, to dismantle the spring I need to cut these. I need to cut this here and get these clamps off. So I'm going to get the spring down to its basic leaf and then clean it, clean the others and apply the grease and reassemble it. I could have made it a lot easier for myself when I originally fitted this spring by just having just the single leaf, but I wanted to assemble the axle into the chassis so I could see how I was doing with these things, the U-bolts. Okay, I won't film me doing all this. I'll bring you back when there's a little bit more to show. Okay, I'll see you later. Hello, right, that wasn't particularly pleasant experience. This one I cleaned it with the wire brush on an angle grinder, and there's the other leaves of the spring, and they've all been cleaned up with a wire brush, but I did those in the side shed to save all the dust coming in here. Now I haven't got a lot of experience of doing this, so I might actually just use a grinding wheel to take the sharp edges off the springs, because you can see this sort of rubbing here. I don't think this spring's too bad actually, considering it's an original 32 one. Oh sorry, I didn't say what I was thinking I'm going to do. I think what I'll do is assemble it with nothing in the leaves, and then while it's assembled on here I'll paint it black, just, you know, with aerosol cans, and then I'll dismantle it again and put this stuff in between, and then assemble it back up again. So in other words, not try and paint it after I put the grease on. But that was a grueler. It's one of those jobs where you just have to get on and do it. It's not pleasant, and I had a full mask on. So okay, I'll bring you back when there's a little bit more to show. I didn't show any of the leaves. I've got a mask on so I might sound a bit muffled, but this is the last part of the last leaf that I'm doing here. This shows you what it was like, and it's smooth here now, and it's quite rough there. I didn't capture just quite how rough they were. I can't really show you me grinding it, so I'll bring you back when I can tell you a bit more. Okay, still waiting for the dust to settle, but I've just cleaned up all the leaves. I've given this one a bit of a clean up as well, a bit of a polish. There's all the leaves. I'll just show you typically. Pardon me. Just kind of dull the edge on the underside there, so it don't tend to dig in. So what I'll do now, I'll assemble this up, and I'll give it a coat of paint, and then I'll disassemble it and fill in all the gaps with some of that grease. Okay, there's the spring all reassembled up in its sort of clean state. Haven't done those bits. Maybe I'll get the wire brush on them. So I'm going to just paint that now. It's quite funny actually. I had to dye the threads on the bolt a bit further. In other words, without the rust on it, it's quite a bit thinner than it was. I don't know if that's going to be a problem. I might need to put another leaf back in. Let's see what happens when I try and bolt it up anyway. I can always add a leaf in. Not a massive deal. I'd rather not clean a leaf up if I don't have to add it in. Okay, I'll bring you back when it looks a bit better. I just did some sums, and with the leaves cleaned, the spring pack wasn't high enough to clamp in the cross member, so I've added those two leaves back in. If I can take one out at a later date, I will do. So I'm just going to paint those now. Well, I don't mind telling you that's been a struggle to get to that point there. I got in a real mess with this spring, and it's all to do with the fact that if you clamp it down here, if you clamp it, the ends try and kick forward because of the curve. Anyway, I managed to get the first 5 leaves in place and managed to get those clamps back on. And now I've put the rest of the leaves in place, and there's grease, that 5th wheel grease, all between them. So I'm going to try and clamp it up using this longer than normal bolt, and then I will knock that one out and put a shorter one in. Just a handy hint, if you're replacing these leaves, put the bolt in upside down so that you can just take the nut off like this. You can just take the nut off and put that one on like that, because if you have the bolt going that way and you're building it up this way, you have to keep taking the bolt in and out, so it's better if you do it that way up. That's just my little hint to you. As I always say, I've only ever done this once or twice, and to be honest, I've never done it with this very slippy grease between the leaves, and it was a real handful to stop it trying to slip out of place. So I'm going to try and pull that nut down there. I've put these 2 bits of wood clamped to the first few leaves to stop these ones trying to kick forward, because I've had that. So I'm running out of travel on my deep socket now. Okay. That grease is very sort of slippy and slippy. It's 5th wheel grease, you know, off the we call them articulated trucks, articulated lorries in this country. Just straighten up the leaves a bit. Don't look too bad actually, to be honest. Okay. You know, you kind of sometimes have to pick a happy medium between the 2 sides. That's the bolt that I've prepared, but I think what I'll do now, I'll cut it off nearer the length. So I'll cut it off about there. I'll take about 1 inch off it. Do that now. I kind of hand filed that bolt to fit the hole, and I had a red mark on it, but I've lost the red mark because of the paint, so I've just tried it in the hole and put a new red mark on it. Okay, I want a clamp each side. Put a clamp each side like that. My OCD means I have to use 2 clamps the same. Okay. They will stop me from undoing that nut. I think the original bolt size on these was 3/8, and I found that a 10mm bolt goes through okay, so I've used a 10mm because I've got a more ready supply of 10mm. Put a bit of grease on the bolt. I just rub the grease on with this rag, so I'll just rub the rag on the bolt. What size is that? Right, where's my mark? There's my mark. Get that to the front. You get lazy when you've got these. I mean, that's tight. It's amazing how tight these things do it up. It would be very easy to strip a smaller bolt. Okay, there we go. There's the spring, painted, lubed. I'll give it a little wipe over and wipe off the excess grease, and then just give it another dust over with some paint. And I just want to replace the nuts, but to be honest, I can do that at any time. So this, what I can do now, I can sling it back underneath the car, the chassis, lift it into place and test the clamping bolts that they go on okay. I hope they do. I can always take one leaf out, can't I? I can always take that one out if need be. It's not too difficult, because all these bottom 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these bottom 5 can stay in place. Just out of interest, to undo this, I clamped everything together, then I put a chisel down there and kind of stretched it a little bit and knocked it down, and then when I put it back on, I brought it up and then put a G-clamp on it and squashed it down again like that. So that's a good little hint. Saves having to cut that piece at the bottom, that rivet piece at the bottom. That was actually quite a bit of hard work, that was, but I think it does look a lot better than it did. The thing is, when you're making videos and you put them out, you know, the whole world is free to watch, and you don't want to start cutting corners and taking shortcuts. And when your work is open to sort of worldwide scrutiny, you do try and up your game a bit and try and just do it that little bit better than you might have done otherwise. Okay. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. This is the crank from the Ol'59 Flatty. I've been cleaning it and I've put it in the lathe so I can kind of polish the journals. I came to it this morning and looked at it, and there was some rust on some of the journals, so I thought, well, okay, I better do something about it. It's very damp in the garage at the moment. I've got it in the lathe and I've actually just polished it all, but I thought I'd just set it up again and just go through the motions just to show you how I did it. Right, I've got it set to a low speed and I'm going to run it in reverse. Ready? This is how I've been doing the big ends, like that. You don't take enough material off to, you know, change the size. You have to have it on a low speed because of the, you know, the eccentric motion. It's safer to just flip the tape from one throw to the other than sort of take it off and put it on again. Don't get me wrong, I'm not an expert at this. I've only ever done this once before. Excuse me. And that was on the crusty Flatty. So that's how I did the big ends. And then I had it on about quite a high speed actually. That was 52 RPM. Right. Ready? Oh, don't want it on there, do I? I'll throw me some. Right, let's go. Let's try. I might do it in reverse actually. This is how I've been doing the mains. That's the kind of view I've got. Obviously I can't pull the paper back and forth. That's how it looks. That's 400 RPM. Runs nice, doesn't it? It's a little bit of a rock on the lathe because as they are, they're not balanced, are they? They need all the rods and everything on there to balance them up. It's interesting to see it whizzing around though, isn't it? Okay. So I've done all that. The other thing I've just done is I've got this long drill, and what I've just done is gone to each journal and ran this drill down there like that. This one goes to the end, this one goes to the middle. Now these weren't too bad, to be honest. On the crusty Flatty, I was literally drilling crud out of them. There we go. I have measured these, and there is a few thou wear on these ones here. I'm not rebuilding this engine, I'm just trying to get it running, and if it runs with less than perfect oil pressure, so be it. This crank, I'll do another little bit of cleaning. I can see a little bit there that needs cleaning, but other than that, I think it's the crank is in a condition where it could be put back in. Okay, right, jolly good then. I just thought I'd show you how I did that, and I'll show you a bit more when there's a bit more to show. I'm going to put the rear axle assembly into the frame, hopefully for the last time. I'm hoping that this stack height works okay and will sit nicely on those U-bolts there. They're not very long, you see, so I don't have a lot of leeway on the length of the thread there. If it doesn't fit, I'll maybe take a leaf out just to adjust it, to get it just clamping up nicely. This was quite a good setup actually, with the 3 axle stands and the workmates. Now the problem is that there's too much weight at the back, so you have to hold this end down. That was the idea of this G-clamp here. Okay, so as I lower this down now, it'll sit on that. There you go, that's it. And you'll see how it all comes together now. So now I can wheel it under there. Trying to get just the right position. It'll all make sense in a minute. So now you can pick it up again now, you see. I think I might put some grease around that middle part of the thing. Put some of this fifth wheel grease around the rear part of the spring. I don't know why. Seems like a good idea at the time. I have to be a bit careful because the chassis is not very heavy, so it's easy to lift it up by accident. Oh, it's already there. It's there. Okay. I don't know if you can... Oop. So I'm lifting the whole thing now, which I don't really want to do. Oop. Well, I suppose there's no harm in lifting it, is there? Probably safer than anything else. Okay. Why not just lift? There you go. So it finds its own centre, so to speak. Okay, the thing's engaged, well, sort of engaged. I need to wobble it about a bit. Hi, right. I don't know when the camera packed up, but basically I've lifted the axle in. I've put this strap around to kind of steady it. It's still a little bit lopsided. And this front end was held up on here, and when I pushed this down like that, it popped into the bolt there. The bolt popped in because it was too high at the front. That was what made it not want to go in there. So what I'm hoping now is that the clamp things will do up effectively. If these won't go, you see, I need to take another leaf out. Oh yeah, that might be okay. Yeah, they could do it being on a bit further, really. I think I might end up taking another leaf out. Taking a leaf back out again, rather. Right, let's get the axle stands in place. I don't like working with the axle stands this high, to be honest. So I wouldn't mind being able to say that the axle is in, and you know, I can lower it down finally. If I was doing this again, I'd rig it up so that the lifting point is central. Would help a little bit when you're trying to do this fine stuff. Make sure it's okay. I'm going to take out that one. I'm clamping the last one that's remaining in place, just so it doesn't give me quite so much grief. Because I had a lot of trouble with this spring yesterday. If you do that, it kind of can take the tension off. I might need the longer bolt, mightn't I? Tell you what, this grease is really slippy. Let's see if this one will do it. That's the problem, is that these want to go forward. Looking down here. If you have to kind of clamp on that forward edge there. I can tighten it up after, can't I? Let's get it back in the frame, do the U-bolts up, then check that everything's okay. Okay. There we are. Okay, as far as I can tell, then that's all engaged now. So this time, let's put a bit of grease on the U-bolts. Let's try putting a clamp on because I can't get the thread started. Oh, I know, I didn't tighten the bolt up fully, did I? Just making sure the bolt's happy in the hole there, which it is. Just tightening up the bolt now in the middle, because now I know that the bolt, tightening up the nut, because now I know the bolt's nicely located in the frame. These aren't doing anything, are they? So I couldn't understand why I couldn't get the clamp on, but it's obvious now, isn't it? I need them to do up really tight, but the clamps not be quite touching the frame. No, this one won't go on because the U-bolt needs to be squeezed in. It's amazing how much it takes just to get it just like you want it, isn't it? Especially when the whole world's looking over your shoulder. Okay, that's gone up and stopped. There must be a slight bit of gnarliness on the thread. If it clamps down tight on the frame, which it might do, I'll just put a thin piece onto the clamping block and adjust the thickness of that piece to get it so it's just where I want it, so the split pin holes line up nicely. I took the handle off this ratchet years ago because what I do, I use the extension bar and that goes on there and it makes it, you know, a bit longer. That was a faff, wasn't it? Okay, check the axle stands. It's all okay, I think. Right. Okay, check all the axle stands. They all look okay. Lower the axle. There we go. Everything's in place. Get the crane out of the way. Okay, that looks all right. Looked good actually. That was a right faff, wasn't it? I make things, seem to make hard work of it sometimes, but it's just a, you know, byproduct of working on your own, I think. Okay, so the back axle's in place. It's bolted in. I've got the front just supported here, but this will come in there and it will hook on into there. That will go on there. This needs to be cleaned up, the bell. I need to put the bearing in there and the speedo gear and the retaining ring and the washer. I've put a new seal in there. Now that that's all back in and painted, I can refit all the brake pipes, which leads me then to, it opens up my opportunities to what I can do. I can either build the brakes. I'm not really bothered about building the brakes because that's just stuff that's been done 1,000 times before. It would be good for me to check that I've got all the parts though. Yeah, I might build the brakes, not sure. I need to make sure my hubs are okay, that I intend to use. So now that this is all done, I can think about the hubs and then the wheels, then the tyres. Hubs, wheels, tyres. I've got rear shock absorbers to go on, they're already done. I want to check that there is clearance between those clamp brackets and the frame. If not, I'll put a piece of sheet metal between the clamp and the spring. But that looks okay to me, that does. This needs to be raised just very slightly. So what I might do is, now that the axle is back in, is actually move those axle stands underneath the axle, and it will be a little bit more steady then, won't it? That's probably not a bad idea. I don't like this setup that I've got at the moment. I like having it at this height though. It's a good height for working on, when you can work down through the frame. Undoing that spring there is the first time I've actually been underneath the frame. I haven't been underneath it for anything yet, other than that. Not the most streamlined of sessions ever in the garage, but you know, hey, that's the way it is sometimes, isn't it? Okay, but at least the axle's in now, and I've achieved what I wanted to, which is the rear U-bolts. For those that haven't seen them before, these are some braces that I made just to try and add a little bit of strength to the frame, and they kind of mirror the Ford radius rods. Well, they are Ford radius rods. Another step in the right direction. Thanks very much for joining me in the garage then. I'll catch you on the next one. Okay, bye then.